Hello everyone, welcome to our 10th episode of Pointers with the Pros. I'm Jeff Jenkins.
And I'm Kaylin Starr.
And today we're going to be looking over at Mark Winger, who is one of our contractors owning a Dustless Blasting business. He was able to work with one of his fellow blasters who he got in contact with our Facebook Dustless Blasting group, where they were both able to team up and tackle a mega yacht.
That's right, and so today we're going to be really just diving into that project. Mark said that before he took on this project with Patrick, he had only done one boat, and it was a small aluminum boat. So he went from this small aluminum boat to this $80 million yacht. And so he learned a lot. He has a few things and a few pointers to share with us if you're interested in one day, pursuing these type of projects. But yeah, him and Patrick got together through the contractor group, like you said, and now they are best buds. And Mark went down to Florida. He is the owner of Kentucky Blue Blast, but he drove down to Florida to help Patrick with the Huntress. So I'm gonna go ahead and read you guys some stats on this yacht before Mark talks about it, but it is a 250-foot long yacht. They brought it onto a dry dock, and that's actually where they did the blasting, but they used 40/70 crushed glass, and they actually only had to do about a 3-foot long strip all the way around the boat.
The whole boat, wow.
Yeah, so that was what they were hired to do. They did not have to take it to bare metal. For those of you who don't know, with this type of yacht, there are layers and layers and layers and layers of coating. So you don't have to take it to bare metal, not for this specific job, but yeah, I'll let Mark tell you guys a little bit about this and what all he learned through this project.
Traveling was really good. I spent almost 3 weeks with Patrick. Wow. So it was good. It was a very good experience. It was very interesting, stuff I've never done before. So that was really cool. Good to add to the resume. What a better time than to be with somebody that had already done a boat, but that was like we jumped from a canoe to a cruise liner. It was crazy. I sent him a picture. I did one little aluminum boat for a gentleman here locally, and it was funny when I went from this little bitty 10-foot aluminum John boat to this 250-foot cruise ship just about. So it was an $80 million boat. It was really cool. It was a good experience. It taught me a lot about safety. It taught me a lot about the removal process, working in an area that containment was an issue. Just a lot of stuff. There was a lot to it. It was just a big job.
So for those of you who don't know, pulling a giant boat out of the water and going into dry dock is very expensive. It's thousands of dollars a day. So that means you're gonna get all your contractors on that dry dock all at once to get as much work done in as little amount of time. So this project in itself needed to be done dustless. So Kaylin, why did it need to be done dustless on this?
So besides having all of these vendors on site, right? That was the main reason they couldn't completely contain it, because people were moving around and doing several different projects on this boat at once. But also they were on that dry dock, as we said, and that is right over the water. So containing this is actually super important so that you don't have debris and paint and dust flying out into the water. So what they were able to do is do it dustless, which is wet blasting for those of you who don't know, and the media just falls straight to the ground. So they weren't able to dry blast because that plume of dust would just be completely out of control over the marina where they were at. But I'll let Mark tell you guys a few more details about this project and why they needed to do it dustless.
Well, so some of the biggest challenges was we were on a dry dock. So if you're not familiar with the dry dock, it is a big, huge, almost like container that the boat is floated in on. Then they pump the water out and it rises up where it's dry, but we're still technically on water. One of the things they liked about our business was the dustless blasting was that we used water. We could keep the mess to a minimum. It would fall to the ground, and we could contain it on that dry dock without getting in the water. There was a whole lot of other people working there on the boat while we were. So we didn't know. We showed up first day. There was already people set up. Matter of fact, there was another blasting company that was doing the internal holding tanks for what they call the black water tanks, the gray water tanks. They were already set up and was working. So we had to work around people.
Yeah.
Now we were 15, 20 foot in the air on scissor lifts, and we had to go over hoses, over cords, or under them or whatever. And then not only that, the boat was 250 foot long. The dry dock, they said typically they don't go over 200 feet long on the boats. So the boat hung out over one end and hung out over the front end. So There was a lot of challenges. We had to work around people. We had to work around other equipment. We had to, they had scaffolding set up for the crew to come on and off the boat because the scaffolding was probably 40 feet in the air for them to go on and off the boat. We had to work around that stuff. So that was a lot of the challenges we didn't know till we showed up the first day. We literally spent the first day just trying to prep the boat. So the first 6-8 hours we spent literally just trying to figure out a game plan, prepping the boat, taping, figuring out how to get the scissor lifts around. It was educational for sure. We learned a lot.
I know when you pull a big boat out of the water like that, it's expensive to keep it there, right? So what did your timeline look like for that?
The job originally was quoted for 5 to 7 days, and they were, I think, now I can't say this for sure, I think they knew there was 5 weeks worth of work to be done. They were trying to squeeze it into 3 weeks.
Wow.
I would assume that's why they put all of us together, and that's why they liked the Dustless Blasting, because they knew the stuff would drop to the ground. We didn't have to, they normally set up scaffolding and they shrink wrap it, so you work inside of a bubble, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do that on this boat. So they were trying to figure out how they could fit everybody together on this dry dock. And there wasn't a lot of room. If you saw from my pictures, we had to put our blasters right next to the wall and out of the way as much as possible. I let Patrick, he asked me if I wanted to back down over the bridge. I said, you do it. There's a metal like screen type, not screen, that's not the right word, but it's an open mesh looking, steel bridge that connected the hard dock or land onto dry dock. And so he had to back the equipment down to the dry dock, and then they picked it up, or not really picked it up, but they used a forklift to kind of move it where they wanted to move it. So that was interesting. Needless to say, that part was just, and it was tight. Our blasters just barely fit on the bridge. It was like we had maybe a foot on each side, if that. We were just really careful. He did a great job. He got everything set up. We figured out, put mine in one spot because I knew I had an extra length of hose so we could go a little bit farther with mine than his. And so it worked out really well. We had enough hose. We were able to work around everybody. The mess was, for the most part, we were able to tarp stuff, cover up stuff, just make it where it was workable, where it wasn't horrible. But it took, and you were asking about timeline, and I apologize, I didn't answer. We actually got it done, I believe, in the 7 days that we thought. It was 5 to 7 days we had planned, with some things that had happened and working around everybody and kind of losing a day for prepping and working around. 7 days, we got it done in 7 days, which was pretty amazing.
So working on a dry dock presents a lot of hidden challenges. So what can you tell me about some of the challenges that they faced with this job?
For sure. I know we've already touched about how there are a lot of vendors and people working on the boat. So that in and of itself is a huge challenge because typically our business owners just go out on a project. It's just them and their crew. They get the job done. But here they're working around a ton of people. But also Mark ran into some challenges with the coating itself, not removing it, but the fact that they didn't know what was in it. And so when you blast at a marina like this, you have to get this debris tested for heavy metals. And so I will let him talk about the challenges that arise with the actual coating that was on this ship that had been all over the world. He wanted to talk specifically about wearing the proper clothing and PPE. So I'll let him tell you guys more about that.
But the cleanup, we put it into dumpster bags, and then they had to test it before they could take it. And that's, I do want to talk about one thing I ran into. This will be good for a pro pointer. The stuff that they tested, we found out there was some kind of not so great stuff in that paint. That was, and one of them happened to be mercury, which was can be a bad irritant to your skin. But one of the pointers I wanted to bring up was your safety clothing. So of course we're in Florida. I had shorts and short sleeve shirts on, but when I went blasting, the day that I had the issue, I had a blasting suit on and I had boots that went up to my knees. The problem was the dust still got up underneath the uniform and got in the sleeves. Even with wearing gloves, I wore a Nova 3 helmet, all that, it still got into areas that I didn't think it would. And so it rubbed around inside my boot where it touched my bare legs and in my arms. And it just looked like I had stuck my arms and legs down in an anthill.
Wow.
And they were just, it was red and burnt. So my point is with safety clothing, the blast suits are great, but we actually watched the other blasters that were there that were going internally into this tank. they actually used duct tape and duct tape their boots to their suit, and then duct tape their suit to their gloves. So they sealed off, and even one guy had it around his neck. I don't know how I feel about that, but he had himself completely wrapped up, and it made sense. I was like, you know what? I was like, I guess I didn't realize how much stuff was going to get in there, because Patrick had done a bunch of boats. I mean, he's done hundreds of boats and never had this issue before. Right. We don't know for sure. It had to be something in the coatings. We don't know. Because, I mean, obviously it wasn't what we're using. We're using glass and water. It wasn't us. Right. It was something in the coatings, and that boat had been all over the world. So you could just imagine. I mean, I met the captain. He said that boat had been up to the Arctics. It's just been all over the world. So, you know, no telling what kind of water it's been in, you know, what has kind of soaked into the coatings. So my tip is, make sure that when you're doing anything that you're even a little bit concerned with, is make sure you are covered up really well. Cover up, you know, tape, if you have to tape up your suit to your gloves, tape up your legs to your boots, you know, whatever it is, to not let any dust or anything in to touch your bare skin at all.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Mark, because it's really important to have your PPE. You really need to have your hand protection, eye protection, and hearing protection. And if you don't know what's in that coating, you really need supplied air. So that's why we really do recommend getting a Nova system, not just for comfort in the summertime and warmth in the wintertime, but if you encounter a coating that you really don't know what it is, it will protect you with that supplied air.
Absolutely. And going back to what Mark said, especially if you do not know what's in the coating, to take, you know, extra precautions and tape up your suit so that nothing can get into that and cause irritations to your skin. We think that's an excellent point if you don't know what is inside the coating. And we're glad that Mark was okay and that he learned this lesson, and moving forward is going to be super prepared, I'm sure, anytime he goes on a job. But even if it's just a standard, you know, regular job for you, absolutely need to be wearing your PPE at all times, guys. So thank you, Mark, so much for sharing these tips and for sharing this project that you got to team up with someone from our contractor group, and we just really appreciate you sharing this project with us.
Yes, again, thank you, Mark, for sharing all the tips and tricks you had on this challenging job. But that's all the time we have for episode 10 of Pointers with the Pros.
In the meantime, check out dustlessblasting.com if you have any questions or want to learn more about starting a business with our machines. And as always, leave your comments below in the comment section. But we'll see you guys next time.
See you guys.